And the San Antonio housing market inventory is on the upswing, and experts believe it'll make for a good year for the area for the home buyers. We spoke with Hannah Jones, a senior economic research analyst from Realtor.com, to break down the recent trends. I'm joined by Hannah Jones from Realtor.com. Good morning, Hannah. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure to have you. So you guys just wrapped up the data collection for the month of May. What was the inventory looking like on the market?
So inventory in San Antonio has actually made a significant recovery when you're looking at pre-pandemic. So inventory levels are nearly 60% higher than they were pre-pandemic in San Antonio. And that's due in large part to a lot of new construction activity in the area.
Okay, and how you said a little bit how it compared to what it looked like during the pandemic. What about in the past 6 months, or could you give me a probably ballpark estimate in the last year?
Yeah, inventory has continued to grow pretty significantly over the last year, and new listings are actually up.
And what about the prices in the home market?
Yeah, so prices have actually kind of leveled off, started to come down a little bit. So prices were about 2% lower than last year in May. But for context, we're still looking at home prices that are about 40% higher than pre-pandemic. So it is still a pretty high-priced market when you're thinking about, those pre-pandemic days.
What does the median price kind of look like, and how does that translate to new home buyers?
Yeah, so the median listing price in May in San Antonio was $340,000, which means that San Antonio is still a relatively affordable market when you're comparing it to other Texas metros, but it is definitely more expensive than it was pre-pandemic, which means that a lot of buyers will continue to struggle with affordability, especially as mortgage rates remain quite high.
Okay, so you kind of mentioned affordability. Is there anything that we should be looking out for, potentially waiting, jumping on new homes now?
Yeah, so there are a lot of great home options on the market. I'm sure that people are seeing that, lots of homes are for sale, which means that sellers are likely to be a little bit more flexible. But if buying a home is just simply not in the budget right now, renting is still a great option. Renting in San Antonio is quite affordable. It takes up about 20% of the typical income, which means it is a pretty affordable rental market, and rents continue to fall in San Antonio.
All right, so for those who are interested in buying a home, maybe we can't afford it right now. How does that renting process kind of prep us for what's to come, or kind of help save a little bit?
Yeah, so renting a home is a great way to save up for a down payment in the future, and potentially put down a larger down payment to make that monthly housing payment more affordable.
Okay, anything else that we didn't touch base on that's new from the May data collection?
I think we about covered it, but San Antonio is a great market for buyers right now. It's probably the most buyer friendly that it has been in many years. And so for those who are able to afford to get into the market, they're going to see a lot of options. But for those who, it's just not quite affordable yet, it's okay to continue renting and saving up that money to one day buy a home.
All right, that's some great advice. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Again, a big thank you to Hannah from Realtor.com for joining us on River City News.